Alright, boys. So, as people, if you look at any page like this, you're going to see that we're going to go to war. And we're going to go to war with Venezuela. Obviously, this is seen as being a very stupid move. And Trump is saying, oh, it's about the drugs and all that. And yeah, I'm sure the drugs play a minute factor to what's going on. However, when I look at this and I look at everything else that's going on in the world right now, I look at this as a stepping stone, a precursor to a war with China and Russia, mostly China. Russia's a 50-50. So when you look at what's going on with Venezuela, you see that they are allegedly the number one country in the world when it comes to oil reserves, and they have that really nice thick oil, all that crude. And while America, we have a good amount as well, in reality, we kind of have a more thinner, watered down version to it. We don't have as many refineries. We don't have all the stuff that we truly need when it comes to oil to really step up the game and to run our war machine. And so when we look at the Venezuelan military, we look at Venezuelans' oil, it makes sense. And then they can use the drug trade, the cartels, Trade de Aragua, all of that as a precursor to, hey, we're going to go liberate these people because there's oil underground. Now, the stupid disclaimer that everybody always needs, because you always have somebody bitch, it's that I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it has to happen. I am not saying anything outside of these are the facts behind the case. Venezuela is within a top 5 in oil that is sold to China. It's something like number 3 or number 4 when it goes to it, with billions and billions and billions of, I don't even know what the hell measurement they use, but an insane amount of oil that is given to China. And also to Russia, but mostly China. And then at the same time, you see China was parking their ships in the area, and there's reports of Spetsnaz being down in Venezuela. And so they don't want to have a adversarial military in our region. Thinking about the Monroe Doctrine, you kind of, America monitors and kind of polices the Americas, and then you have China with their region, and Russia with their region, and England with their region, all that other kind of stuff. So you have all these different aspects to it, but that's a big one where we are trying to not only get oil supplies for ourselves so we can help lower the cost of fuel for Americans. We can end up providing oil and fuel for the war machine, for our ships and helicopters and planes and jets and all that fun stuff. But also it removes a crap ton of oil that's going to Russia and China. And so that not only helps us, but it hurts them. It also removes the Russians and the Chinese from Venezuela, because they don't want to have a fight on Venezuelan territory, especially when they haven't built up. So they're at this point, you're pushing on an adversarial force where they could have used that for a staging ground when we go to war with them. Again, if you've seen other things that I posted, we're expected to go to war with China in 2027. And while this is happening, It is not just supposed to be over there. It is expected to be here on U.S. soil. So there is that aspect to it as well. Also, one thing that most people aren't thinking about when it comes to all this is that our military, for the most part, is very young. We have obviously some of the older guys, some middle-aged guys. We have guys my age. I'll be 33 in a month. And so majority of people I know that's been in the military, they all phased out. You know, it's a young man's game. And so when you're talking about like the fighters, 18, 19, 20, 21, up to 25, and then, you know, they kind of start to get out. And so majority of our military has not seen combat. Sure, there's still some in there, absolutely, you know, stupid caveats. However, the vast majority of our military has not seen anything. We also have seen a difference in warfare. We've seen with Ukraine, and we've seen with Israel and all that. We're seeing the warfare has changed a lot. Drones, and as far as Ukraine goes, they kind of went back to trenches like it's World War I. And so this is a completely different kind of warfare than we've seen in, you know, over 100 years. So what it's called, for the people that don't understand it, it's called being blooded. They are getting their people blooded. They're getting them in there. They are getting them the experience of combat. They're getting them to, this is what it's like to shoot somebody, to have bullets whizzing above head. This is what it's like to be around explosions. It is what it feels like beyond that stress of, you know, maybe I haven't eaten for a couple days, or I haven't been sleeping for a couple days. I'm still expected to function. Maybe I'm injured. Maybe I tore a muscle and I still need to push through and get the job done. This is what it's like to have casualties on both sides. You know, this is what it's like to be around death. Maybe I lost a friend. Whatever the case may be, you're getting the American soldiers that have never seen combat before. You're getting them blooded, and you're getting them kind of a JV version of what it would actually be like if you're going against a major power like China and Russia are allegedly. But also, you notice the Marines are the ones that are kind of gathered around. And the war with China is supposed to be a lot of island hopping. You look at how many fake islands, how many man-made islands they built up around the South China Sea. You're talking about Taiwan, you're talking about all of this. It's going to get the Marines back to that World War II of going island to island, going in there, you know, making the grass grow, and then going from there to another, going from there to the next island, and so on and so forth. We have not seen massive warfare in a long time. From what I understand, Iraq and Afghanistan was pretty much dead for years before. Obviously, there's skirmishes here and there. There was stuff here and there, but for the most part, the Iraq and Afghanistan were pretty dead by the time we pulled out. Sadly, I think that we should just turn that place to glass, but that's me. But yeah, so this is a thought that I feel like nobody really thinks about, because there's always a second and third order effect that people just think, oh, just the drugs, just the gangs, just oil. Like, okay, yes, however, there's also a ton of other things that go along with it, and we need to be aware of what's going on, because we need to know what we should be expecting and preparing for. You can't win a battle that you don't know is coming. And so what does that mean for you, American, or any kind of NATO ally? That means, you know, bullets, Band-Aids, and beans, right? You have to be able to have food. You have to be able to have protection for that food. And then as you're protecting yourself, you need medical, because shit's going to, bullets fly both ways. And obviously when I say beans, bullets and Band-Aids, beans also include water. And water is the most important thing that you can have outside of a relationship with the Most High. So, at the end of the day, get your Bible, read it, learn who is king. Christ is king. Learn how to store food and store it. Learn how to gather water and gather it. Do the things. Learn how to protect yourself. Everybody thinks that they have a rifle and it's this magical thing. And if your rifle is not beat up, your rifle is just like perfectly pristine, maybe you should get out there and beat the hell out of it. I have a thing with my buddies. Every year, if it's a heavy snow, we go to the range. Why? Does your equipment, does your gear hold up in rain or snow? I have seen rifles that are allegedly top tier rifles get a little bit snowy and then they die. You see guns like, okay, I have a FN 509 tactical. You know the downside to an FN 509 tactical? They get hydro locked. Most people don't realize it. And if that's your carry gun and you end up having to cross over some body of water for whatever the reason is, and you, God forbid, have to pull the trigger, that first round's not going to fire and you are probably dead. You need to know what's going on around you. You need to know, you need the training. Now's the time to do it. You're late to the game. However, every little thing is connected. Like Bear Independent says, everything, everywhere, all at once.